Welcome to Kendrick and Matt on the Slip and Dip podcast.
Oh, beautiful, man. What is up, people? Welcome back to the Slip and Dip podcast. Coming to you on Labor Day. Happy Labor Day to everyone out there. Hope you enjoyed your day off of work. If you had the day off, if you didn't, enjoy that time and a half. You know how it goes out there in the workforce. But today we have Mr. Steven Wright, good friend of the show, joining us. He's going to help us break down UFC 228 and wherever else this thing goes. Before we bring him in, Kendrick, how you doing today, my man?
Man, staying on the grind as always, man. Get ready for UFC. Got a whole bunch of behind the scenes craziness. Then I fly out for Canelo Triple G next week. Like most people, I get 2 checks. I'm just saying.
All right, here we go. Let's bring in Steve. He's already on the line, already hanging out on Skype.
Straight into live guest.
Let's do it. Let's not waste any more time. Steve, how's it going, my man?
I'm good. I had to work today, but I did not get time and a half.
Oh, man, you got to pay yourself time and a half on Labor Day. I did see you were working with someone a little bit special out there, according to your Twitter picture.
You're talking about me? I'm always working with myself.
Yes, and of course, you know, the title challenger, Miss Valentina Bullet Shevchenko. Looks like you got some work over there with her. So I guess, she's obviously a hot topic coming up this week. Everybody is already crowning her the uncrowned champ. So, how's she looking?
She looked real sharp today, and basically I've had a relationship with her coach Pavel, and her manager Roger Allen for a really long time. So it's real special for me to see her in this position because most people don't know the big delay that they had on the 125 division was all because of Ronda Rousey, because they needed to make sure that there was a good farm system to produce the next opponent for Ronda. So that's the reason why they went with 115 next as opposed to 125. They didn't want those girls to drop. But before that had happened, I talked to her manager right when she would start, doing MMA. And I remember talking to him and saying, hey, I truly believe that at 125, UFC has that weight class, that Valentina Shevchenko will be the champion of the world. And I said that she did most of her Muay Thai career at 130. A lot of people don't know that. And when she... now this is before the division existed, and she was, competing at 135. She came by my gym once, and she weighed 143 when she did that session. And I was like, wow, she just fights these girls at really, really close to her walk-around weight. So when the door opened for 125, I remember sending him, a message saying, hey, Roger, remember when I told you that she's going to be champion? Now the opportunity is there. I still thought that she beat Nunes, and no problem. It went the way it did, but it opened the door for this opportunity. I couldn't be right about my prediction if she's 135 champion. So I get to be right now. So hopefully she'll go out there and execute. She is... The reason why people are on her side is because she's the superior skilled fighter. Like, she has more tools for having success in the fight. But it's a fight, and if there's one thing she's going to get from, the champion is going to fight all 25 minutes, and she's going to push forward, and she's going to put her in the cage and grind and try to put her on the ground and just keep pushing to have success. So, there are no easy fights. Even though there's easy outcomes, so when you're talking about the champs of the world and the best fighters in the world, and I think that she's got more skill than the athlete that she's going up against. So if you're wondering why people think that she's going to be the new champion, I think it's because of the separation and skill and the fact that she's one judge away from being champion at 10 pounds above. So if they're not holding her down at that weight, I can't see Nico having that success here. So we'll see what happens on fight night. I thought she looked good today, and again, I played the role of helping out their fight team, and I had some girls in the area who trained with me, and I said, hey, I've got bodies for you. Girls who'll go in and give that fight look and do their best to help you in this fight week, and got to watch Pavel and Valentina do their thing. They've been together for a really long time.
Steve, how pumped are you the fact that the cards in the D, you got a lot of fighters on? It's kind of like a way that we know what you do and what you're capable of, but do you feel like this is an opportunity to showcase like what the war room's all about?
You know, we're always working. You know, I think every coach in the world is always working. Um, when your athlete goes out there and performs well, it does sell your skill set and it does sell yourself as a gym. But in the end, you know, I really focus on just being honest. You know, there are days in my gym where it's just, you know, it's so full. I'm like, we're spilling out of this place. And then there are days in the gym where there's just, you know, 4 or 5 people who came to get work that day. That's the reality of people who work in combat sports. Now, if you're at like the, you know, one of the big gyms like a AKA or a ATT or, you know, Jackson's, they clearly have just, you know, bodies left and right. People who grew up watching MMA and then they heard something on TV about this gym, you know, or every fight card, you'll hear you know, pretty much an infomercial for all the major gyms when someone walks out there. So outside of that, the rest of the country, you know, even, you know, I'd say even some days with Mark Henry's gym, there are days where you just have 5 or 6 fighters, you know, and you make your money off the casuals. If I'm going to be real this year, I really just dedicated myself to just being the best coach that I could be. And any athlete that came in my gym, I'm going to do my best to push them. Clearly, I need to focus a little bit more on pushing the gym more, but I'm having success as a gym owner. This is my most successful year as a gym owner. And I just want to make sure that I build on that. But more than anything, you know, I post when my athletes have success. That's kind of my goal, is just to help them get to their dreams. And I put that over everything, over gym success, over anything. I want people to know this person put their heart into it. And you know, they got, I had a guy, a Deeb, win an amateur Muay Thai title just a couple weeks ago. And it meant a lot to me, you know, because he comes from a family where they're not so sure about him fighting. So it's like, all right, now you got that title on your waist, go show them that. So, you know, that's kind of what means a lot to me. And this weekend with Valentina coming through and Razak, I'm going to be there, you know, watching them compete. And after they win, anybody knows me, I'm going home. Like, my goal is to have, I'm selling myself. I'm going to work all week. I'll be holding for Kamaru Usman and any other UFC fighter that contacts me and says, hey, they won't work, I got them. But the moment the people who I'm there for have success and I get to see them, you know, accomplish their dreams or push their career forward or bring money home to their family, I'm going home because I'm an old man. I mean, it's my birthday tomorrow, so.
Happy birthday, brother. And if somebody give you that call, can you give us a call? We'll make that drive to Fort Worth to make it happen.
Okay.
For sure. So, you know, we're looking at the card. Like we already kicked off our fight week coverage, so to speak. You know, on Sunday. Was it on Sunday? Saturday. Wow, my day's already running together. I haven't had very much sleep. I'm moving into a new house, so it's gonna be a crazy week for me. But so we started our fight week coverage on Saturday actually with Ryan Benoit. Got a you know, a little interview in with them. Got to see him doing a little open workout, and then literally not even 24 hours later, we hear he's out of the fight. And it's so like, he was in perfect condition. Like, he looked amazing. I was like, man, he looks like he's gonna go tear somebody's head off. And then we see on the internet, like, he's out of the fight. It's just so crazy, like, how this fight game can change so quickly, man. And it's like, makes me wonder. Like, he had a great open workout. You know, he's very entertaining. Gave Kendrick a great interview, and kind of sucks that he's off the card after all that. You know.
You know, I mean, it is heartbreaking because in the end, this is how people pay. You know, he's got a child and a wife, and you know, it's like, this is how he makes his income. You know, he's got a gym on the side, but that gym kind of gets him by. You know, privates, that kind of gets him by. In the end, he's looking for those. You know, it's almost like a running back who gets chunk plays. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're just grinding away, then all of a sudden you get a 40-yarder. That's really what the fight is for a fighter. You know, it's like you get 3 times in a year where you get your you know, and I think it's heartbreaking to hear you say that. This actually, I didn't know it was all the way confirmed, so you guys are confirming that to me. And I've worked with Ryan Benoit in the past, and he's a good kid. He works hard, and I was really excited to see him on this card. But, you know, he has struggled with injuries in the past. Just, I mean, he's working hard, but just, you know, the human body, you know, sometimes it's on your side, sometimes it's not. So I'm heartbroken to hear that, and I hope that he gets another opportunity soon.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, man. I didn't believe it when I saw it. You know, I saw it on Twitter first, and I was like, "What? Like what? Is this real?" And then, you know, it got confirmed through his manager, and it's, you know, these short notice fights, man. So shout out to Jared Brooks for stepping up and taking the fight. and saving Roberto Sanchez a paycheck. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be interesting. I think it's an interesting replacement. Two contrasting personalities. We'll see how that one plays out. But
and after Brooks's last outing, I'm sure he's ready to get back in there and not just the outing, but the way that the interview afterwards, where just kind of acts. I think just a slip of words when he was on Twitter and he said, that would never happen again 9 out of 10 times, and he I'm sure he didn't realize that he gave himself 10% chance to do it again, to knock himself out again. He didn't realize that when he was tweeting, but he really did do some good stuff. And of course, you guys know, I've told you before that Shorty Torres, I've had the wonderful chance to train him in the past, and he lived at my house for a little bit when he was training out here. So that still meant a lot to me because I love Shorty Torres. With that said, there's a losing locker room in this game, and that was Brooks, and he had that unfortunate finish. So I'm excited that he gets another opportunity, and hopefully, things will go his way this time.
Absolutely. Another Dallas product that was very, very impressive in his last outing in Austin was Jeff Neal. Jeff Hands of Stone Neal is in action as well. So, what are your thoughts on him and, building off of that fight and that impressive knockout that he had in Austin a few months back?
So, well, he, RNC, like he hurt him, but he finished it with the RNC.
That's right. He cracked him really hard, and then he ended up with the rear naked. That's correct. So, yeah.
Neal, of course, I told you guys before, we worked a lot together for that last. And this time we didn't work. He kept the camp out in Dallas and in Fort Worth. I am a little bit of a drive from them, but he's still one of my favorite people that I've ever worked with. Like he's, and just what I hear about him from other people means a lot to me. That if somebody does something to him, ask the question. He's so humble. He always asks questions like, "How did this happen?" or "What did you do here?" Or he's just, I'm all about someone that's always learning. So definitely, he's got a kid that he's got's going to come in and bang with him. It's weird that that's the first fight on the card, but. Hopefully they get this, the party started right. But he's very, very skilled. Got that sneaky left hand. He can throw it with power. He can throw it on the move. So, I'm all about Jeff Neal. He's one of my favorite people that I've met in the sport.
Absolutely. So let's skip ahead. Let's jump ahead to the main event real quick, because I want to talk about the whole storyline. Doesn't seem to be that of course people are talking about Tyron Woodley's facing Darren Till for the championship, but it seems to be, to me, like more people are more enthralled, and rightfully so, I guess, the fact that the main storyline is Darren Till's weight,
Mm-hmm.
and subsequently the fact that Tyron said, "I don't care if he misses, we're still fighting. I'm not fighting Kamaru Usman," which was pretty shocking to hear. But I get it. I get his point that you spend all this time in camp preparing for one guy, and we're professional athletes. We need to fight that guy, not somebody on 24 hours notice. Not going to change up my opponent. But I was talking with Ryan Benoit the other day, and I was like, I think that if they took away this weight cutting thing, like what will we have to talk about leading up to these big cards and these big fights? Like during fight week, I think they don't want to make any drastic changes to kind of solve the problem, because that's taken away half the fight week content. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I do think that there's drama in it, and you're going to get it again. Conor McGregor versus Khabib, that fight week. The question of Khabib's weight will come into play. Like, it's just everything that we do here is about selling the sport. Like that is the goal for the UFC. They want your fight week. I mean, there's a reason why it's 4 days of festivities before the fight. Like they open workout and interviews like that. They want to sell this brand, and it is an interesting side story. It's happened before. Thiago Alves was 4 or 5 pounds over when he beat Matt Hughes, with that jumping knee in England, and then he fought GSP for the title after that. So we've got history of people missing weight and then still going out and getting that opportunity to fight for the title, and people wondering if they're going to make weight. Like that is in the history of the sport. Till it's as far as Woodley goes, and of course, I'm in the Kamaru Usman camp because I work with him for a long time. But I do understand why he made that decision. As soon as you become champion, when you see the paycheck that you get, the most important thing is to remain champion. So other people will say going against the best guy and so on. He already did that on the way to the title. Once you get the title, you want to look for fights that boost your financial, stability. Because in the end, you can't eat those championship belts. You know what I'm saying? You want to. Legacy is not a meal that you can feed your family. You want to make as much money as you possibly can when you're in the position to do it. And he got there, and some things just kind of fell in his lap. He was not interested in the Wonder Boy fight when he first got it. As soon as he got the title, first thing he said was, "I'm gonna, make a decision and fight someone that I think is to my benefit as far as pushing my career." And he wanted to go against one of the Diaz brothers, which was weird at the time because,
of course,
at the top. But financially, I'm a big, strong, athletic guy who can wrestle and hold top position, and they are thinner guys who aren't very strong but have good work rate as far as their punches go and do good jiu-jitsu off their back. Even if the fight's not good, I could sit in half guard and get a lot of money. Like I understand what he's thinking financially there, and he's been that way the whole time. George St. Pierre, he knows a jab and a double leg. He probably feels really confident the double leg ain't gonna beat me. I know how to wrestle. I think that I can play with my tools and have success against this guy. Let's not forget, Woodley did some good things against Gastelum. He did some good things in his title run to get to the title. Not to mention the knockout with
Robbie
to win the title against Robbie. He won by knockout. So I understand his role, and I think when he was given the options that he was given, and Till was one of the options, and interim title thing went away. It would make more sense for him to fight a guy who would still give him the opportunity for that wrestling advantage, a guy who usually has success when he backs you up and walks you down, and we haven't really seen him with a wrestler to the level of Woodley, an MMA wrestler to the level of Woodley. And I think that he likes it. He's prepared for that matchup. It's the one that he wanted, and if it changes to Kamaru, it is as night and day as you possibly get as far as styles go. So I can understand why he's like, I'm committed to this guy, I put a camp into this guy, this is the guy I can fight. I'm fighting. I can't fault him for that even a little bit. Now, as a Kamaru Usman fan, a guy who's done everything asked of him, Kamaru pretty much spent a year and a half of his career fighting guys that the UFC wasn't that high on just because they needed something to do with him, and again, that's not fair for me to say the UFC wasn't high on these individuals. It's clear to me that he was moved in a way. You don't see a lot of Donald Cerrone's on his resume. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Those guys get to go another path and fight the stand-up guys of the world. They get to fight guys who are kind of more kickboxing orientated. He's going against all the top position grapplers so that he could be the better top position grappler, and that's kind of how he was pushed in that way. So I understand how people are going to avoid him. But in the end, if your title is going to have value, it's got value because you have defeated all the best guys in the world. And I think Woodley at least has claim to fighting two back-to-back guys that were considered #1 contenders, Maya and Wonder Boy. So I think that he feels that he's bought himself some time, and he was trying to get the fight that he wanted. It didn't materialize, so this is the best thing. So I understand everyone's position here. But you're right, man. It's just going to come down to will Till make weight. I think he will, personally. And we'll see a pretty good scrap.
Do you think that too many people try to manufacture storylines, and it's like, is this a sport? Is this entertainment? Like, you're not going to catch no shit like this if Tyson Fury doesn't make weight. Oh, Deontay's going to fight Anthony Joshua 2 days later. Like it's all like, I won't say like scripted, but it's a lot of extra for this to be a quote unquote sport. Or is it a sport? It's entertainment.
It's always a both. It's always the balance of both. But the thing is, and Kamaru was right to try because they have a history of this. The UFC has a history of this, of finding replacements late. So we can go to, what is it, Soto that fought TJ?
Yeah.
And it's
title shot on your UFC debut.
Your debut. That doesn't happen. The guy you will never see. Floyd Mayweather is preparing to fight McGregor. McGregor injured his ankle. They're going to go ahead and throw Lobov in there with McGregor. Like it's never going to happen. They're going to throw Lobov in there with Mayweather. They would never do that. They're like, oh, he's injured? well, we ain't fighting for the other 2 butts. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
I don't care that everybody bought tickets. Go ahead and re-rent, enjoy the Vegas weekend, and come back. So,
Yeah.
so for me, it's because they have a history of it, and the way they do this, you know, everything, even the title fights, all that it's pretty much done by an office, as opposed to by 2 opposing promoters trying to make it happen. So, Kamaru was right to try. You know, he's like looking at it. He's like, you know, you see Darren Till, and Darren Till looks bigger than middleweights, and you're like, okay, I don't know if this guy's going to make it. I'm going to try to be ready. So if Woodley is down to have a fight, for sure, I'm down to fight him. And everybody's point of view makes sense there. But as far as doing it for, you know, storyline, I mean, storyline does come into play, but history comes into play too. They have done this before.
Yeah, I mean, it's the main thing, man. Like, in no other sport, like we reiterated, like in the NBA, like, it doesn't happen. You know, you don't get to sub in the Celtics if LeBron gets hurt for the Cavs in the finals. You know, like, that just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. You got to roll with what you got, and when, you know, your opponent, your you know, the guy in the main event of a fight falls out the day before, because we have this insane weight cutting culture in this game, because, you know, we're not calling it a sport anymore, right? You know, it's like, I don't get it. I mean, I get why they started the whole thing, you know, kind of the show must go on type thing. You got to have somebody on the top of the bill, but hey, in this case, Valentina and Nico should fill in if something were to happen in that main event. It's just crazy that you're also Tyron's kind of forcing himself to take a fight that won't be for a title. And who knows what could happen. Say he goes out there and gets hurt, and let's say he goes out there and gets finished and he gets put on the shelf. Then we have an interim title now.
But it's not his fault that Oakwood didn't make weight, though.
But it's his fight. I mean, but he still wanted to fight. He still has to earn a paycheck, so he still is going to take a fight.
Fault.
Now, hey, it's crazy.
I can't put him to fighting.
It's crazy. It's just,
it's
an unfortunate position to be in.
Well, I mean, I laugh at it because for Woodley, he's probably thinking it's win-win. You know, like either I get the fight against the guy prepared, or he misses weight and I still get it and I don't lose my title no matter what. And normally when you're a champion, you're not playing for a win bonus. You get a flat fee. So, you know, he gets that no matter what. And if he loses, I've lost because he missed weight. You know, like he came in at heavyweight against me, and that's the advantage that he had. So when we do it again, he's got to make weight. You know, it's as far as him getting stopped and injured, I'm sure that crossed his mind. But in the end, he put a whole camp into preparing for one guy. He's determined to fight this guy no matter what. So unless this guy can't go on, it's just, I mean, it's always going to be that way. But as far as the culture of weight cutting goes, I do wish people understood how different the fighters' bodies are from day to day. Like, not even close. Like what I mean by it is, if they only understood, I think a lot of people are assuming, okay, 2 guys that fight at 170 walk around at the same weight around the 190s. They can both fight in the 190s. I think that's what the most people assume. So they're like, hey, why have them cut to 25 or whatever? I'm just going to tell you, as somebody who's seen so many bodies, like so many people from, I mean, I've probably had the opportunity to work with more than 60 UFC guys and several people throughout the years moving up the ranks. I cannot stress to you enough how different their body weight is for somebody who weighs at 55 and somebody who weighs at 70. It's just so different, you know? I mean, a lot of 85ers are in the 220s, you know? And not all of them are, you know? There are some 85ers that walk around bigger than some 205ers. Mm-hmm. Misha Serkinov is not a huge 205er. If you look at him, he's a huge guy. But in terms of weight cutting, Misha was always around 215, 218 when he came down to Team Takedown to work out. Mark Lehman, who I was working with at Team Takedown, one of his black belts was one of Misha's coaches back when he was in Canada back in the day. So I had him come around 215, 216, be in my gym before. I'm like, okay, cool. I had Alan Belcher come to our gym one time, and Belcher weighed like 230 pounds. And
thick. He's the thick dude, man.
So I'm like, what the matchups that you think that you're going to see at these 85ers and 70s walking around, it would completely change the weight classes, like not even close. That would change them so much. The Valentina Shevchenkos, they're in the minority. Somebody who, Valentina, her body stayed at 143 when she fought at 135. When she fights at 125, today we're talking in the gym, she goes, oh, I'm just 3 pounds over. Once I realized I'm going to be fighting at 25, I started hanging out at 132. That's just like something that she could do. It wasn't hard for her to make that decision, body-wise, health-wise. Not everybody can do that. There, along with this understanding that there should be weight cuts should be removed in general, like universally, you should also universally understand that the weights aren't the same. And I don't think people understand that part of it. What people walk around with are so different. Even James Vick can get to close to 200 pounds, and he fights at 155. But James Vick has never missed weight. It's never been an issue. He's never lost a fight because of weight. It's not an issue for him. If people made weight all the time, would we still think it's a problem? Is it only a problem because they're missing weight? It's a weird thing. I only want to stress to people that it's not as simple as just saying, get rid of all weight cuts. It would change the sport more drastic than you think.
Sure.
And there's a reason why boxing has so many weight classes. It's because a long time ago they realized this. And one of my friends in MMA, TJ DeSantis, he used to be a radio personality, but now he's known more for being the Invicta commentator. I remember he and I talking about it, and he said, the weight classes in boxing don't make sense. And that was in 2012. Here we are in 2018, and those weight classes make a lot of sense to people.
Right.
Like, they understand like so many little spots in there,
Mm-hmm. It's so true, man.
But the main thing, it all boils down to greediness, and Matt knows I like to keep it real, but like I want to be pro fighter, but the fact that they don't have no fighters union and they let the UFC pimp them, it's on them.
I mean, boy, you opened up a big one. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a tough one. And I mean, I just wish I knew or had an answer for you that I thought, you know what, this would clear up everything. But I do think that the scary thing about the weight cutting thing is that will put us in the same spot that we are before, is the responsibility will be on the fighter. Like, I think the idea of a union stepping in and saying, all right, these are the weight classes from here on out. The responsibility to fall into these categories, to do whatever you do with your health, to go into whatever weight cut, that really does fall on the fighter. And it's just different when you see a guy who's having success in the gym and he goes against a guy who's stronger, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, this guy, I'm not this weight class. And then this gentleman tries to make the cut down. Some people are like, well, he's overacting or so on, but it's a different feel. It's Gastelum looks great at middleweight, but then when Gastelum, had the fight with Chris Weidman, you're like, Gastelum's not a middleweight. That's what you think when you watch that match.
Right.
Fight. With that said, he then goes out and wins the next couple. So are these guys too early? Are they misreading their own selves? Are they going to develop skill? Are they going to develop the way to get out later? All those questions run through your mind. But the big thing for me, it really does come down to, I think, the fighter responsibility for what they do as far as their weight cut and all that. It's just something right up there with the same preparation that you put into winning a fight. It's something that you've got to prioritize to do in a healthy way. If you don't, it's going to be to your detriment. And I don't think it's because the weight classes exist that you do that. I think it's people think that they have the best size and strength advantage in a certain area, and they push themselves to get to that area. And that's, and sometimes it's a small circuit. Sometimes it's just fight opportunities. Maybe nobody wants to fight you in your area at 135, and the UFC is your dream. And you're like, what am I going to do? Just not fight? Right. Getting fights in the amateur and the local circuit, it's getting harder and harder. I cannot stress you how hard it is now. So you got to be, if you can sell tickets, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? You can say, I want to go against nobody good until I get to the UFC. You could say that to a promoter, and they're going to use you. You know what I'm saying? Because you could sell tickets. In the end, that's kind of where the difficulty is. So some of these guys are like killing it at 45 or 55 or whatever, and then they run out of opposition in their area, but they're not ticket sellers, and then all of a sudden the promoter doesn't want to use them, and I get that question a lot. I say, hey, I would love to get this person the card. I believe they have the talent to be in the UFC one day. And then the promoter will sometimes message back and say, how are they going to be on ticket sales? Exactly. And they'll use them based on that. So it doesn't have anything to do with who's the most talented guy. It's who can help the promoter move forward. And I understand it from the promoter's view. But if that's what's happening at the smallest level, maybe 35 you run out of room, but at 25 there are people that will fight you. Maybe there's a ticket seller at 25 who's willing to take that risk with you, and you make the cut because of it. I can't stress to you enough that this isn't just something because the UFC is putting it on them. This is all over the fight sport in general. People are trying to figure out how to get to the UFC as fast as they can, and they'll take whatever physical measures that they can to get there.
Right. So let me ask you, I mean, all that is, yeah, it's very valid. I've heard some stories of guys, like you were exactly saying, like, hey, if you don't cut this extra 10 pounds, you're not getting an opportunity right now, and guys will just do it because they have to do it. I've heard that story more than a few times. But let me ask you this. So how many guys, or have you trained like anyone, a higher level, whether it be a UFC or another regional major promotion that virtually cuts no weight?
Kamaru usually stays around 188. Maybe the highest I see him is at 192.
Okay. So I have a second part to that question. So a guy like Kamaru, like if he only has to cut, 4 or 5 pounds, right? That means his weight cuts aren't very tough, right? I would assume. Okay.
Yes.
So what does his fight week look like versus someone that has to cut a ton of weight? Prime example, Johnny Hendricks. Let's just go there. So, what does his fight week look like versus him? Where is Kamaru able to focus more on technique and the fight itself versus the other guy who's sitting in the sauna wishing he was dead?
Well, Kamaru is very businesslike, and he's got a good mentality for the weight's coming off right now. Period. He really doesn't cut hard until the last day. Matt Brown's another person that I was around who, he's Brownie's now coaching, of course, at ATT. But I remember I was working the fight card with him, and I remember him getting on the scale the day before the fight, and he was 17 over. And 2 days before the fight, he was 17 over. And he said, yeah, I'll probably sleep off too. And he says, I'll just cut it all tomorrow night. And it didn't, and nothing in me thought that he wasn't going to make it. And he got rid of 15 pounds, bang, just like that. He still spent his whole fight weekend preparation, still spent it, getting ready to compete with, whatever guy that he was fighting that evening. I can't remember. And went out there and won. So, it happens that way. There are still people who can do the big weight cut and go right about their business without thinking. And I think Kamaru's in that camp. So Kamaru will do game plan and relaxing and all that kind of stuff. And then he'll get to Thursday, and he won't necessarily be the happiest person, but he'll have his mind made up. I'm winning. This weight's coming off. And once this weight's coming off, somebody's got to pay for making me cut this weight. So it's I guess another person that I've seen, didn't train, but I was around, Cody Garbrandt. A lot of people don't understand that he is really, really close to his weight on fight week. Oh, yeah. So the day before he won the title, I was there. Johnny was fighting, I want to say Neil Magny that night.
Yeah, I saw you. Yeah, it was there.
Yeah, and we were in the back, and I remember after it was over with, his corner came up to me. They were like, which round did you have us losing? Alpha Male, they came back and they were like, what round did you have us losing? And I mentioned that I think that it was in round 5 that he did a little bit of coasting, and then round 2 I could see that one going for Cruz. But I remember before that, before the fight, before it all, the Thursday before, they did a full fight preparation, every coach out there workout, and this is the day before the fight. And I remember they asked him what he weighed, and he got on a scale, and he was 3 pounds over, and they said, do you want to knock it out? He goes, no, I'll just wait till the last minute. It's just 3 pounds. And that's just kind of how he gets down. You know what I'm saying? That's just his body is able to do that. So he can focus in on fighting and so on. Other people do have to prioritize it. I work with Kelvin Gastelum. We did a camp. went against Story. He was here helping Johnny when Johnny was going against Robbie. So one of my favorite people in the sport. He has a bigger cut, and some of it is he waits to the end. He waits later. And he'll tell you that. I mean, he's 85 now, so he can laugh about it. But, he's just confident that he'll get the weight off, and sometimes it's rougher than he thinks. Yeah, I guess that would be the contrast. I wish I could say it was different. Definitely for Johnny, we had to dedicate 3 days, to make sure everything was going well. But I think for a lot of guys, they're just so confident that, because of the wrestler cut, they're just so confident they can get it off.
Mm. But in common sense, it's like, what planet does it like make sense? Like, you gotta be a certain area. You gotta be at 170, and it's Tuesday afternoon. You weigh 192. Like, that is any common sense. I think, like, it does not make any sense. It's like it's so dumb that it doesn't make any sense. That it's like, why would anybody even try that on a regular basis?
Well, the thing is, it's kind of what you sign up for. These guys have the, I talked about the fighter responsibility. They can 100%, if they want to, focus on their diet year round and sit around at 185 and then cut weight, But part of getting, as they said, the chunk plays, the big paychecks, after, sitting around for 3-4 months, 3 times a year, whatever, a lot of that comes down to what they allow themselves to get when they're off, because their walk around weight when they're out of the gym is different than their walk around weight when they're in the gym. That they're two different, they're not the same. So it just kind of comes down, man, it's I wish I could give you a straight up, man, it's this way and it'll always be that way. But now I just think everybody's body's different and the way they respond is different, and the same body can respond in 2 different ways for the same weight cut. Like it's an anomaly, and some people feel they've got their body down and it works out perfect. Mike Dolte was a fighter. Most people don't remember that. And he had his weight down. He figured out a system real early on to take care of his own business, and he's able to turn it into a career. Makes a lot of money, selling books and so on off of the weight cut, way more than he made, would have made in fighting. So he figured out himself really quick. Some people figure out themselves, and their selves was that way for 2 years, and it was different for the next 3 years. It's just, there's no system to this, So I guess time will tell, as far as what's going to happen with weight cut and so on. But I will be very, very shocked if they ever get rid of it. The only thing that would help fighters to stay on their weight or close to their weight year round is if they fought 5-6 times. That'd be it. Like that's the only way they're going to keep their weight down. But as long as they're fighting 3 times a year and they got those big balloon up opportunities, it's always going to be, it's going to be a struggle for them to do it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. A lot of truth right there, man. A lot of truth. So, one guy we haven't, I don't think we've mentioned yet is Razak opening up the main card. Judo Thunder. So, how much work did you get in with him this time around, or did you work with him?
Well, Razak's my guy from the very beginning, okay. So we'll always be, we do. Yeah, well, he goes out to Fortis, he'll go out there and get work because they've got more bodies than we do, especially at 170. Right. So he'll go out there and work with Coach Saif and his welterweights. Charles Bird used to be a welterweight, now he's an 85er, but
also on the card as well.
Yeah, and we worked. I've known Charles for a long time. I knew Charles before I knew Saif. Charles used to live in Arlington and worked with us at Team Takedown out there. So when I first got here, so again, another one of my favorite people in the sport. Just a good guy, worked really hard, and finally got that opportunity. So as far as he's been going out there, 4 times a week, but he's with me 5 times a week. So it's I pretty much got all the day classes, and we do our game planning, and we bring in body specific, and then we do jiu-jitsu specific for him for fight situations, and it's just a team effort to make sure that he gets his hand raised. And this one came a little bit shorter notice than others, because we're kind of one of the last ones that made it on this card. I didn't even think we'd be on this card. I actually thought Conor McGregor didn't have the fight at the time, but I thought we'd be on October 6th. Oh, so, yes. But it was just vacant. So I thought that that'd be a card that they would put us on. And but no, they put us in Dallas, and of course, you guys know me. As I said before, I want to win and go home, so that works well for me.
Right.
But like, we're excited to compete always, and I'm hoping that he can win and get in the top 15, and that would be the fourth guy of my fight career that I was able to work with, someone that I work with like early in their career, and I got to see them get to the top 15. Johnny Hendricks, Jared Rosholt, Kamaru Usman, and Razak are guys who I got to be with early and then see them have that success. And of course, as a coach, that's what you want. You want to help guys to their dream, and then that kind of pushes your resume too.
Do you think they're gonna learn not to trade with Razak? Because it's like when people trade with him, they pay that price, but people keep doing it.
Oh, I mean, Razak's a great person to work with in the gym. Like, he's always going to he's going to get work in. Now, if you turn up your level, I mean, Johnny was the same. Like, Johnny, when he sparred, Johnny wanted to work at a normal pace, get work in, and not have anybody kill each other. But if you did something, like if you didn't have knee pads on, you threw a knee at Johnny, you're pretty much you're putting your life in. And there were times where I had to stop sparring to keep him from killing somebody because they threw a knee or something without a knee pad, didn't think anything of it. And I'm like, okay, Johnny's just going to start hauling off. And next thing you know, I've got to stop him from killing somebody. Afterwards, and he'll just say, he'll go, no knee pads. And I remember he'd just say something like that. Razak, for the most part, is going to go out there and work with you. But if you look at him working at a slow pace as your opportunity to throw something big, it's game on, and I think that's how it should be for every fighter in the world. If you're working at a working pace with somebody and they're going to use that as an opportunity to show that they can fight, show that they could, beat a UFC fighter. If they crack you, you got to go after them. And the best example of all time in my whole fight career was when Carlos Condit went out to work with the military. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was a viral video for a while, but he went out and he was working with some guys in the military, and he was showing some moves, and then they were getting in there and they're sparring, and he literally says to the guy, only hit as hard as you want to be hit. And I don't know if it was because the guy had his army buddies behind him, whatever. He decided that he wanted to throw a little bit harder at Cerrone, at Condit. He did so, and Condit, stopped him, in a sparring round, and the whole gym is going crazy for it. I wonder where that footage is, but it was a big deal 5 years ago. But he made it clear, only hit as hard as you want to get hit, So you work with somebody who's a big hitter in your gym, they'll work with you. But if you, cross that line, that's it, Well, I shouldn't say all of them will work with you. I was in the gym. Melvin Menhoff, one time I was in the gym with him at Mike's gym, and they were doing body sparring, and a guy came and just did a quick combo, and it didn't hurt him. And I remember Melvin stopping sparring and going over to the guy and saying, hit me hard because I'm going to hit you hard. So,
oh, shit. Dang. Yeah, that's the guy I wouldn't want to spar with right there.
I bet you got all kinds of war stories to tell us about that you probably can't tell me.
The show is not long enough. But
I'd imagine a lot of new chapters will be written this weekend, man. Because, like you said, a lot of people that you know, a lot of people that you work with on this card. I don't think. I mean, I get the buzz of the card because obviously there's 2 title fights. It's a pretty stacked main card, but this card is really good from top to bottom. I don't see a fight that you can necessarily say, "Hey, this is my bathroom break fight." It's pretty stacked, and I can't wait for this weekend, man. It's the official. Media obligations start on Wednesday with open workouts. Then we have media day on Thursday, and then of course weigh-ins on Friday, and then fights on Saturday. Man, this week's gonna be nice.
Nice. I think my favorite fight, not including the 2 that I mentioned before, is Esparza and Suarez. I can't wait to see how that plays out. Because Suarez is one of the best MMA grapplers I've seen in a very long time. I've seen people who are really good in the gym. But to have it translate at the highest level so consistently like that, I mean, she knows how to use her length so well. And the way that people get striking, some people get grappling and some people get wrestling, and she just gets her position. And I mean, she really understands where she's strong at in grappling. She's something. So I'm excited to see how she does with Carla, because Carla, I think one of my favorite victories of this past year was when Carla got, her victory over Kavita. Like that was like she has that style where she moves around and finds offense and moves around and finds offense. And when she got taken down and Cynthia had her back, I was like, oh, it's going to be trouble. Let's see if Carla can get out of it. And Carla at the very end was able to scramble to her knees, and I go, that's a big victory. Then Carla goes out there and I felt won the next 2 rounds. I know Kendrick disagrees, but like one for me, like I was like, man, Esparza's still legit. Like he can still go out there and be one of the best fighters in the world. So that's one of my favorite fights. Tatiana Suarez and Esparza, that's gonna be a lot of fun.
I think people sleep on Tatiana. She's like a female David Maya, and people don't even realize it because she doesn't got the name.
Oh yeah, and we'll see. She wins this one. She's what, 1 fight away from the title? Like she'll be in that conversation. I wonder how they're gonna do it. If they want a new contender, maybe they push her right into that spot. If they want Jędrzejczyk to, fight for the title again, or maybe they'll give her Jędrzejczyk next. But, after this one, I mean, if she's able to beat Esparza, I don't know who in the top 5 that they would go. Maybe she fights the winner of Carolina and Kavakevich. What's up?
Andrade?
Yes. Maybe she fights that winner. I'd be fine with that. I'd love to see how she grappled with Andrade because Andrade is such a powerhouse. I mean, this is a fun card. You said it really well. I think top to bottom, it's got something in every weight class, and it'll be a good one for me.
So let me ask you this before we wrap up here, because I know you do the matchmaking for Glory, right? So I have to ask you.
I help. I'm on that team, so
you're in the conversations. Right? So, worst case scenario, right? For this main event, like, let's say you're it's Shelby that does the bigger weight classes, right? So he does like the Woodley and the Tills. He does the 185s, 170s, and up, right? So
no, that would be that's
Mick
Maynard. Yeah, Mick Maynard does 85 to 200.
All right. So let's say you're in their shoes and Darren Till misses weight and Darren Till beats Tyron Woodley. With the fact in mind that, when we had the whole Khabib debacle, and Iaquinta thing, and then Dana gets up there on the press conference, and he's like, if you beat the champ, you know who's the champ, but you're the uncrowned champ because you actually can't win the belt per the regulations. And that would have been a whole debacle like in itself. But that's also the same situation we could be looking at here if Till misses weight and if Till beats Woodley. So how do you shake out the division after that if that scenario plays out on Saturday night?
Well, there's 2 things that we're forgetting. Number one, people are just convinced that if Till misses weight, he's just going to fight anyways. I'm not 100% sure about that. I'm not 100% sure that he would want to fight against the champion without a chance to win the title. I'm not 100% sure that he would just do it to be a prize fighter. He did mention that the legacy matters to him in that really weird interview. It's just, again, fighters are a strange breed. So, in his moment, I knew what he was trying to express. He was trying to express that is how much this game means to me. But if he misses weight, I'm not 100% certain that he's just going to be like, wait, I get to fight for not the title. And just if I win, I don't necessarily get a rematch necessarily. Because my thinking is this. If he wins and Woodley's healthy, clearly they do the rematch right away. If he wins and Woodley's injured, then ideally you put him against your interim champion because, at least someone's defending something. So maybe you do that in like December or something like that. So there's an option there. But I don't think, I'm just not as confident as other people are that he's going to miss weight and just be like, all right, I'll go compete anyways. I think it's easy to do that when it's not for the title. It's easy because if anything, you dodge a bullet. Just go ahead. You can still move up the ranks. As I said before, Teo Alves did it. Missed weight, won the fight, lost 20%, but got to fight for the title. So that's the same as making that money back, son. So,
so true.
As far as that's concerned, I can, if they're like, hey, you missed weight, we're going to take 20% of the biggest check of your life. And again, that you ain't going to go make that in the street. They paying you 6 figures. And they take, $200,000, you ain't gonna go. That's not something that you can easily get back. So,
no.
See how he feels about it. But I wouldn't be so confident, that. And another reason why Kamaru was in a good place to go ahead and give it a shot. Are you down with the no fight? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's a question to ask. You've not defended your title since last year. Are you down to keep not defending your title? I mean, everybody lives a certain lifestyle. Is your lifestyle catching up with you? Are you okay to keep living like this? And I think he probably is, but you got to ask those questions. So, but yeah, that's what I would do matchmaking wise. I would go Till versus your interim. If Woodley can't go, if Woodley can go, then of course you got to do that rematch right away.
Yeah, some crazy things can come out of this weekend, man. I'm excited to watch it all unfold. Obviously, so
it's like you want chaos to unfold.
Of course, I want a drama. I mean, this is a drama-filled entertainment sport.
Game. I don't know what
entertainment game. The UFC is the UFC.
I have to go ahead. I got to go ahead and admit something. I would be a horrible owner of the NBA because if I didn't get the finals that I wanted, I would just pull rank and just make it how I wanted to. Brought up that example earlier. I was like, wait a minute. Do I really want the Warriors versus the Celtics without LeBron in the finals and without I just thought about it. I was like, you know what? I'm just go ahead and admit that a plane would have to accidentally crash into Boston. Something would have to happen for me to get the fight that I wanted, or the matchup that I wanted, because I was like, okay, now let's see how important the Warriors are if we don't have LeBron. Because I think the Celtics could have put off the upset and still nobody would have watched it. You got to. It's interesting, but we'll see. And I don't think Kyrie's a star. I think Kyrie's got the ability to be one of the better players in the NBA. I think he is one of the better players in the NBA. But I don't know how many people will go, I'm going to watch the game because Kyrie Irving's playing tonight. I don't feel that yet, So I would be cheating if I ran the NBA. I'm just being real.
He's spot on with that. Exactly. He's a star, but he's not a superstar.
Yeah, Steve would have playoff matchups through a Twitter poll. Who y'all want to see?
So what you do, the 1 through 16 craziness they keep talking about, get rid of the conferences and just do 1 through 16?
Man, like how the women do it, I would probably do something, like how the WNBA does it. Like I could see that. Even still, I would cheat even more, and I would have a regular season NBA title and just give that to whoever, and then I'd have the Star League be for my playoffs. Because I can't have that, I mean,
you you wait for basketball style.
I mean, I keep it real. It's real. That's how I would run it. The NFL don't have to worry because the NFL is it's such a great product and everybody loves it that it doesn't matter what teams. If the Cleveland Browns made it to the Super Bowl, people are watching the Super Bowl.
Oh, of course, especially with the Hard Knock season. Oh my God.
For sure. But if the Memphis Grizzlies make it to the NBA Finals, are people watching the NBA Finals? I'm not going to say yes to that. In fact, I'm going to say no to that.
That's a good point. That's a great point. Yeah, the NFL, I mean, it's so intriguing because, you only have a handful of games. Whereas the NBA, it's like, okay, we get to watch these guys potentially 72. Well, they do play 72, what is it, 82 games, right? 82 games? Okay, and you still can't get in, people behind certain teams outside of their core market,
Because it's too many games. I think that the NFL works best for America's attention span. I think that's why, one of the reasons why it's so big. To keep up, baseball, I could turn on baseball right now and there's someone who's in the playoff hunt, and then I'll look the crowd and I swear there'll be 1,000 there. And I'm like, how is it possible that there's this many vacant seats? And these guys are making $125, $140 million, for 4 at-bats and chilling in the outfield. They get to make that much money and nobody's watching it. Where's this money coming from? So, I guess it's because they have so much TV content from being on, that many. I think that's where the money comes from. And then they, unlike the NFL, have got much better unions. So they get a big piece of the pie. But, man, if I ran baseball, I'd be cheating there, too. I would. Yankees. Yeah, I can't have Yankees and the and the Red Sox compete just to go to the World Series. That's got to be my World Series. So I'm switching stuff around.
That's true.
Steve, 2 minutes or less, so we all can go home. Who you got? I got and Still and New. And who's your breakout star for UFC 228? I got Miss Suarez.
Okay. Well, I'm biased in one of those for sure, and super biased in the other one, of course. So as far as, I mean, I think that Till has the ability to score more offense consistently against Woodley, but I've not, and he does have a really good game off his back. A lot of people don't know that about Till. Like he's got a nasty game off his back, so it'd be hard for Woodley to just kind of sit on him. But whatever, I'll go Till. I'll go ahead and go Till. I'll take that. I think that he could score some strikes, and he can score enough in the dead space. And Woodley does have these gaps where he's not throwing a lot of offense, just kind of moving. So I think that he could do enough. Because I didn't really necessarily think that he beat Wonderboy all the way. I thought that was a close fight, and a lot of people had him losing Wonderboy as far as Till goes.
Right.
That was one thing Till did to his benefit was he kept teeping at the knee, and he kept doing these like single shots to fill dead space. And if there's one thing that you got to get ready for when you fight Woodley, it's dead space, because he understands that he's a powerhouse guy and that he can't go out there and throw rounds like a boxer. He's got to find good power offense and then move, and power offense and then move, and then ground and pound. And he really does have good ground and pound if he gets on top. So I want to lean for the champion just because of the wrestling, but I mean, I think that if the fight stays, I don't necessarily think it's going to be an exciting fight personally. I think if it's a boring fight, I can see Till winning the fight. But if he can't handle the wrestling, and there's a real good chance that he can't, we haven't seen it, it will be pretty one-sided for Woodley, because Woodley really can, his ground and pound is legit when he gets on top of people. So, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking there. As far as breakout star goes, I lean Suarez too. Again, not including my own people. I lean Suarez. That would be fun if she was able to do it.
I like it. I'm gonna go. I am gonna go and still, and shockingly and still.
What?
Shock the world. Shock the world, Nico. Let's see it happen. Let's see it shock the world. And I guess breakout star. I guess someone to make. I don't know if it would really be a breakout star, so to speak, but I'm looking at Jeff Neal to go out there and get a spectacular finish early in the card. So maybe something that can get the internet buzzing a little bit with some gifts that go out.
You know, one thing about Nico is she does know her identity as a fighter. Like, she's not going to go out there and try to do something new. She's not going to go out there and game plan for something that she sees Valentina doing. She's just going to come straight after her. And sometimes in those moments, those athletes can win rounds, with just aggression and pushing and just grinding it out as much as possible. But right now, on the feet, she does what we call she swings, but she doesn't hit. So on that she can't land a punch on her feet. But a really good striker, it's like they can walk over and touch the wall. That's how it is when they hit you. Like they know where you are and they just can hit you. And I think she swings more than she hits. But at the same time, she can go jab, overhand, and just be physically aggressive and grinding. And I wouldn't say that it's impossible for her to win. I'm just saying that the skill advantage is so far in Valentina's favor that that's going to be tough for her to do.
I can't wait to see it, man. Like I said, I'll be there, around downtown all week long, covering everything going on. I'm sure we'll run into each other more than a few times this weekend. And,
for sure. You have got your media passes, right? Both you guys will be in the back?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yep. I'll be sure to say hi before I leave.
Absolutely.
Let us know if you got something going on this weekend. I'll make my way to the war room. You know me, I'll be creeping.
Okay, I'll message you.
All right, sounds good, man. Steven, appreciate the time, man. We'll get back to the rest of your evening. And, of course, like we just said, man, see you around downtown this whole weekend.
Yep, you'll have a good one.
All right, man, take it easy. All right, and there he is, Stephen Wright, joining us, helping us break down UFC 228. Man, I can't wait for this card. Everybody out there listening, still watching on YouTube, we appreciate it. Thank you. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and, of course, share it with your friends, share it on blogs, whatever message boards you may be on. We're going to have a lot of good content coming this week. My stuff will be going up here on our YouTube channel and also on Fansided. So that's who I'll be doing the bulk of my coverage with. I'm credentialed under Fansided for this event, so I will be doing most of the content there. But any other things outside of official events, pay attention to the videos coming up on this channel right here. Right, Kendrick?
Yeah, everything. I'll be no telling where I'm gonna be at. I'm juggling everything from UFC to high school football to NCAA football. I might actually be in Austin watching UT lose.
Oh my God. Yeah, we won't get into that, but that's about it, man. We've done an hour breakdown. Appreciate Steven coming on. Always good to hear him break down things from his unique perspective of being in the gym, training all these guys that are on this card in particular too. So it's very good to have him on this week. And like I said, thank you to everybody that's listening. Please subscribe, share it around, and we will be back Sunday with another show. And of course, like I said, throughout the week, keep your eyes peeled for that content popping up on the channel here as well. So we will catch you guys later. Till then, peace.